Okay, so we have a superhero-themed episode, just like we expected from the animatics. So how well does this one hold up? Are you fucking kidding me right now? An episode revolving around superheroic elements to make a completely different and dynamic episode that stands out among the series is what I was expecting Mysterious Mare-Duel to be, and that wasn't the case until Season 4. However, even with that, this episode has received a lot of hatred from the analysts and reviewers ever since this episode aired. Several complaints and reactions were over the top, implying it was garbage. The fussing never stops. Honestly, I don't think it was that bad. It could have been a lot worse. It surely didn't have a hypocritical message, an unintentional subject matter that rose controversy, nearly killing off our main protagonist, or even backhanding the show's moral values by having a character simply imply they didn't learn jack shit while having mean-spirited humor. Compared to all those episodes, this one was harmless. The episode begins when the main six are restoring the ruins of the Royal Sisters Castle in the Everfree Forest. Spike insists on helping out but isn't given any tasks. Meanwhile, he reads a comic book entitled The Power Ponies, and along the way he rants on about a character named Humdrum, who he hates only because he finds him not only useless, but also there for just comedy relief. Eventually, Spike reaches the final page, which turned out to be a blank sheet, only with small text printed on the corner. After reading it, he and the main six get sucked in and thus entering the universe of the comic. The main six are all the power ponies that Spike remembers. Twilight is the masked Matterhorn, who is supposedly known for having a wide variety of horn powers. Pinkie Pie is Philly Second, who is more of the fast runner like Flash. Rainbow Dash is Zap, whose powers were reminiscent of Storm from X-Men by controlling the weather. Rarity is Radiance, who is able to conjure up any fancy inanimate objects. Applejack is Mistress Marvelous, who's a hybrid of Batman and Wonder Woman. Lastly, Fluttershy is Saddle Ranger, who's obviously revealed at the end to be the Incredible Hulk. That is saved for the last act of the episode. The only way to get back to Equestria is to defeat the villain of the comic entitled the Maniac. Yeah, that's admittedly a stupid name. Going over her first, her powers are mostly a resemblance of Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man, but only replace the metal tentacles with overgrown hair, and several hair puns that she spews out. Her minions are fashionists, barbers, or clones of Antony C, and her headquarters is a shampoo factory where she's mutated from. Her plan is to steal an artifact that activates a giant cannon, which is literally a hairdryer. Once activated, she's more than capable of taking over the world.
Of course!
God damn it, I walked right into that one. Add to this, she possesses the hairspray of doom, which is used to stun anyone caught in its path. This villain is as every bit as cliche as you can imagine, but I already expected that because generally speaking, most comic book villains I've seen throughout my life have been practically portrayed this way forever. It's that tradition of power-hungry dictators in which, while utterly cliche, it has never gotten old over time. Some people found this to be a completely bland direction, but personally, I don't know what would have worked better. I mean, it's a comedic homage to comic books, so I didn't find this to be an issue. While I'm approaching on the subject matter of its concept, I enjoyed the art, the direction, and the style. It completely deviates from the show, and it definitely displays that even for a show for girls, it has an authentic look standing out from the target audience. And boy is it embraced. It's zany, over the top, it doesn't expect you to take it too seriously. Unfortunately, with the episode's running time, there is little to no room with the whole environment to explore upon. In fact, one major letdown is that the main six superpowers are underwhelming. Dash, for example, is already able to control the weather, and that's nothing new with what power she's capable of. What's even worse, she only conjures up tornadoes and that's it. Similarly, Twilight only uses ice shots throughout the whole episode and that's it. We're never given any other sources of what Twilight can use, regardless of what she was told. I'm also confused as to why Pinkie's filled in the role of Flash when that kind of power is closely related to Dash in the first place. Then again, matching the parts would have also been an issue. In fact, as far as I'm concerned about the other abilities that match the other characters, there isn't anything new or special about them. And whenever there is something different, it's not explored well enough. Also, surprise surprise, Spike is Humdrum, the character he utterly detests. Of course, this is the conflict of self-doubt. This kind of message has not only been tackled on before, but is also hammered in this one. Where I stand differently, however, is that this plays a metaphorical role of what he had negative feelings on. Based on his rants on the character, seeing he become him shows that you'll have to make the best out of what you become. I mean, being sucked into Thundercats only to be Snarf has to suck really bad. Or for that matter, you become Starscream in Transformers or Jigglypuff in the Smash Bros. Universe. This is what got me engaged in Spike's role to begin with. So while the message is hammered in, I personally wasn't bothered behind it. It was mostly him making his way through the comic book universe, which ultimately takes the majority of this episode's plot. Another majority of this episode is the comedic action that's taken place. One of the biggest moments I remember is Pinkie Pie's antics where she plays tag with the henchmen. Other times the characters are just adjusting to themselves with the superheroic power counterparts and that's it. Although at times it kind of fails in the process. Of course though, the one major moment that was built up to was Fluttershy's Hulk rage.
Like you're just a great big meanie!
There! I said it! What makes you think you're so special? Like the rules of common courtesy don't apply to you? Why don't you pick on someone on your own side?
Viewers found this to be a problem because once again it's mentioned that it's nothing new. While that is true, I personally found Fluttershy's rage to be one of the best moments in the entire episode. Of course, Spike succeeds and proves himself useful, the villain is defeated, and they're all taken out of the comic book. Going over this bit, Spike elaborates that he purchased the comic book from an enchanted store in Canterlot, which indicated that the comic alone was magic. Even if I was a kid and that was a real store, I would probably have the best time of my life. Yes, fuck Disneyland, fuck Six Flags, and yes, even fuck BronyCon. Suck me into those MLB comics, I want to live the adventure of these books. Hell yes! But unfortunately, people had an issue with this too because it was a contrived plot convenience for a filler episode. And chances are it won't be explored upon any further. Honestly, if it isn't explored upon, I could care less. There isn't anything to go over except that there was a magic comic book that can turn a fiction into a reality. That's a pretty nice concept, and that hasn't taken into proper consideration according to the other reviewers. With that all said, though, most of the episode is admittedly a letdown. That doesn't mean the episode is terrible. In fact, I enjoyed this episode for what it was because there's a lot more that you can take from it than what you think. However, based on the reactions of this and the Mysterious Mirror Duel, I think it's pretty clear that the staff should stay away from comic book related themes. It's a bit of a shame too because they've done a pretty good job with other themes tackled on and prior, and a majority of people love reading comic books. At the very least, DHX, you tried. So until next time, I'm GoldenFox, and I will catch you all later.